Have you ever wanted to guest on a podcast like this one that you're listening to right now? Well, you can. You can definitely do this by visiting a website called Podmatch, where you can sign up and be available for all different types of podcasts that you can guest on. Or you can even search for a podcast and say, I want to guest on your podcast. I think we'd be a good match. So if you want to do this, you can go to our unique link, which is joinpodmatch.com/reality, and you can sign up and do exactly that. And you can find us and you can guest on our podcast. So again, that unique link is www.joinpodmatch.com. That's joinpodmatch.com/reality, REALITEA, and you can be a guest on our podcast. Welcome to Reality Tea Times 2, the podcast where we discuss all the trash reality TV we love to hate. I'm Tanika, and today we're going to be discussing 90 Day UK. And on behalf of Ava, I just want to say, I love you, chicken. That's literally how she thinks we should start every episode. So, yeah. Anyway, yes, 90 Day UK. So, because with Love is Blind is so good. And I want to make sure that I'm getting at least all of the episodes out to you by the time the next set of episodes come out, which are Fridays. You might get the last episode on a Friday. So I want to make sure that I'm getting those to you. So that potentially means that some of the 90-day shows will be a little later. It's not the end of the world, but yeah, I want to make sure those are getting to you in time before the next set of episodes come out. So that's what I'm planning to do. So I'm hoping that I can get a Love is Blind to you every day, even if you're already getting another episode. That's the plan. Hopefully I can stick to it. We'll let you know. But I do have a couple of announcements that I'm going to also tell you here. And there also is going to be some hot goss that I don't want to wait on. So I'm going to tell you soon. I'm going to tell you now. Not just soon. Now, but like soon. So yeah, that's what we're going to do. And again, just as a reminder, we do have Golden Bachelor, Bachelor in Paradise coming this week. Both of the shows are on Thursday, September 28th. Those, most likely, you'll get those towards the beginning of next week. That's probably what will happen with that. So, I don't think there's anything else that I need to mention about that. But, yeah, because we'll just hop into a couple of announcements. So as mentioned in the Last Resort episode, you will be getting bonus episodes of Below Deck Med because I love it so much and I love to talk about it. So you'll get bonus episodes of that. It'll be separate. It won't be attached to anything or anything like that. So you'll get that. So again, I haven't watched the episode yet, this week's episode. Haven't watched it yet, but once I know for sure if I'm going to be talking about anything in particular that requires the bonus this week, I'll let you know. If it won't happen, as mentioned, if there is no bonus episode, I'll let you know. So I think that's it about Below Deck. Yeah, so I think we'll just hop in with the Love is Blind announcement that I had. So, as mentioned in previous episodes as well, I believe mainly in the Last Resort episode, I mentioned that I am trying to cook up some stuff for Love is Blind, that it's not just me talking about it. I'll probably throw in some thoughts of Ava's if she's not on an episode, because we have definitely discussed this heavily. We've actually discussed the UK tell-all as well. We're actually doing it as I record. So she's currently watching, so I might be able to throw in some stuff for you that her thoughts are. Some things I might just keep to myself. So yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit too. But so with Love is Blind, if Ava is not going to be on an episode 1 through 3, it will be just me. And of course, I have lots of thoughts, lots to say. Whoa. But my plan is that I'm going to actually be bringing somebody on with me to discuss one episode each of the batch of episodes that we get. So usually it will most likely be that last episode of the batch of episodes we get. So for this batch, you will have me and also a friend of mine, Sharon, who will be coming on and discussing Love is Blind. At that point, because this is the first time we're covering Love is Blind, what we normally do, even between me and Ava and between me and Sharon as well, we've talked predictions. What we predict is going to happen with the couples that we have, and maybe even predictions of the couples we don't. So yeah, we will talk predictions and see what happens. So we'll also be doing that at the 4th episode as well. I'll also get Ava's predictions. If she's not going to be on the episode, I'll get her predictions as to what she thinks as well. So you can at least have mine, have Ava's, and as well you can have Sharon's. So yeah, we'll do that. We'll introduce her when the time comes, and you'll get to know how me and her met. Somewhat similar to how me and Ava met, but it's a little different. But yeah, we'll talk about how we met, and then we'll just talk Love is Blind, and we'll also kind of do a brief recap on the 3 episodes as well, and her thoughts in general of everything that's kind of happened. So that is the plan. You'll get that. I don't think there's anything else we need to discuss announcement wise. I think, yeah. So yeah, I did talk B90 the other way. Last Resort will probably be a little later just because of Love is Blind. Wanting to get those out to you. But yeah, I think that's it. Nothing else to discuss for announcements. So we'll just hop into a little bit of hot goss. I don't want to do too much. We'll probably split it up a little bit just because this is probably going to be a tad longer. Okay, so we actually only have a couple of things. It's kind of late this week, but I'll keep looking. So, Rebecca. So I say Rebecca, but Becca. Katherine. I don't think I've ever checked how to actually say her name, but anyways, and fiance Thomas. Should remember these two. I'm surprised they're still together. Not because of her, but because of him. We all saw him. Anyways, I'm happy they're happy. It's great. I actually didn't remember that she was even pregnant, but I think I actually did know this. I just didn't remember. But anyways, grand scheme of things here, they have welcomed their first baby. He is a he. Yeah. They had a boy. They're soaking it all in, and they're doing good. They're doing good. So yay, congrats to Becca and Thomas on their new baby. So next, gosh, I have something here talking about a very rare sighting of Colty and Vanessa since his accident. And he is looking very different, guys. Like way different. Like I wouldn't recognize this person if he walked down the street. He's never looked like this. He is seen in a picture that Vanessa posted on her Instagram, which was captioned hashtag Comic Con Tahoe, hashtag Kevin Sorbo. Sorry, I don't know who the hell that is. Actually, wait, he looks familiar. Hold on. No, no, never mind. I can't even see like what he was in. But anyway, so yeah, so that's where we see him. Yeah, like I said, he doesn't look like Colt T. Anyway, the picture isn't very great. It's kind of grainy, but I will post this picture that we see here, that I have here in front of me with Colty and Vanessa on the socials, so you can see how different he looks. He just, yeah, it does not look like the same person at all. But anyway, that's basically it for Hot Goss. That there's really nothing else for us to discuss at the top of the episode. So we're going to jump into the reason that we are here. 90 Day UK, Season 2, Episode 13, Tell All. So I did find that this tell all was a little bit, I want to say jumbled, but yeah. Yeah. And I will also give my thoughts on our host, Katherine Ryan, as well, once we get to her. But there's a lot going on here. And I do find that what we kind of followed up on with some of the couples was a little lackluster. I feel like King Richard did a better job of asking the right questions when he showed up. Like, spoiler alert. So yeah, like I find that I still found that Sean Robinson does a little bit better. You know, their Barbara is not doing good. So anyway, let's get into it. So Mert and Shane, they are the first couple to show up. And we kind of see, as Rebecca and Christian are kind of showing up, that Rebecca says that she doesn't believe in Mert. And I'm going to get into my thoughts on this in a little bit too, with this disdain for Mert that Rebecca seems to have even more so than another player in this clique. So, which we'll get to that for those who didn't watch the episode. So yeah, there's a little bit of there's something going on here, Rebecca. So then we see Mercy and Michael, which we have established we don't really know how to say her name. Is it Mercy? Is it Marcy? We really don't know. Mercy doesn't even know. Or is it Marcy? We don't know. Anyway, Mercy and Michael arrive next. And we find out that Shane doesn't like asshole. You and me both, girl. You and me both. I don't like her either. I made that very clear. Despite the fact I call her asshole, let's be real. Anyway, asshole is nervous. You should be, girl. You should be nervous. But she's nervous because she knows that people are going to come for her. And because of everything. So we find out kind of in this moment that there's some WhatsApp drama going on. Okay. Mainly among the women here. And we do get a little bit more details as to how certain people found this out and how this started and all of that. We will get into it. But just to preface how it's funny because Rebecca says that she doesn't believe in Mert. And she feels like she actually says that I want to tell Shane that she could probably do better than Mert. Yet when she and Christian come into the green room, Shane and Mert are doing makeup. And so they're not in the green room at this point. And they come in and they're like, oh, so like who else is here? Michael and Mercy, they kind of say, well, one of them says, well, Shane and Mer are just left before you showed up. And it's very strategic that that happened that way. And Rebecca says, good, because I don't want to see them. So it's like, okay, so wait, do you have a problem with just Mert or do you have a problem with Shane as well? Because that's kind of contradictory. Because you're saying you want to give her advice. Yeah, how do you expect her to take any of your advice when you're kind of also clumping her with Mert? Which naturally happens in couples. Obviously, I'm going to clump you with your person, but like, you know what I mean? I'm just confused. So anyway, yeah, so there's WhatsApp drama. We do find out a little here that asshole is the one who started it. Of course she did. The fuck? Of course she did. So just so we kind of see what's going on here, so we can make it make sense, the basic information you need to know about this WhatsApp drama is that asshole did start it. And it was started with Rebecca. And it has to do with Shane and Mert. Just to put it out there. So Tian has showed up next. She says that David is unable to be in the UK for the tell-all because his visa was denied. So he will not be there in person, but he will be there. So yes, as mentioned, Shane and Mert were taken for makeup. And when they come back into the room, there's also another comment I'll get to in a minute, but when they come back into the room, Shane claims that she was going to try and say hello to Rebecca, but Rebecca conceived the fact that she went to the other side of the table, that she didn't want to say hello to her. You can use your words, mind you. You know what I mean? And we do see the footage very briefly of Shane coming in, walking around the other side of the table. She didn't really allow a lot of time to say hi to Rebecca. But at the same time, it's like, well, you do see a slight pause. When I say slight, I mean like maybe 3 seconds of pause before she went to the other side of the table. And she does kind of say, like, how long am I supposed to wait there and look like a fool for you to say hi to me? You know what I mean? So there was this not saying hi to each other drama that was also fed into the WhatsApp drama. So now back to the comment that I said I was going to mention that I think kind of solidified Rebecca and being a mean girl. She is a mean girl. Both her and asshole are mean girls. So she says Mert has a lot to say for someone who has no substance. Where are you getting this from? How do you know what he has and doesn't have? As they stress a lot throughout the show, is you're basing this on something you saw on TV. You're not basing this on facts. And I don't think Mert doesn't have substance. I never thought he didn't have substance. He definitely does. He just has a little bit of this controlling issue, which again, I think is really well described later on by none other than Rebecca her fucking self. It gets confusing. So I'm just like, okay, I wouldn't go so far as say he doesn't have any substance. I wouldn't go that far. If anything, ma'am, based on what I'm seeing on TV, although Christian is very good looking, he has no fucking substance. You know what I mean? So I found that really funny. I'm not saying that he doesn't have substance. I'm just saying based on what I've seen, he doesn't. Like there's something missing there, you know? So I'm yeah, very weird. And I didn't like that she said that. Anyway, next to show up, we see Robert, an asshole herself. And we do obviously find out asshole doesn't like Mert. You made that clear. And Robert thinks that Shane is selling herself short. And then again, as mentioned previously, with the hello not being visible here when they came back, Shane's a little, taken aback, and she makes that very vocal at one point to Rebecca, like, you didn't say hi to me, you know? So that's going to be a point of contention. So Katherine Ryan, she is our host and she is a super fan. So again, I'm thinking, okay, this would be great. Like, she's a fan of the show. She clearly watches the show based on what you're trying to sell here. So I'm going to think that she's going to ask great questions. And I thought at times she did ask great questions. I thought at times she made comments that us as a viewer would be saying and have said. But when it came to asking the right questions or follow through on certain questions, for example, which we'll get to, when we have Asshole and Robert on the hot seat here, and they talk about her, you know, potentially really not liking Robert, why, you know, is she with him if there's certain things that she doesn't like about him, kind of getting into that. But then we don't get into the meat of why do you have an issue with his daughter, with Arwen, and that I felt like the host had like this opportunity to say, you don't go after somebody's child. No, we have to have the cast say that. And even more so, we really saw it when King Richard came on the stage and said, "Yo, like, listen, the kid thing, like, what's going on here?" Because I think if he got a different answer than what he got, which shocked us all, we'll get to it later, he would have gone in harder than I thought she'd. There were certain things I liked about Katherine, but then there were also certain things, and I'm like, okay, we need a little more. We need a little more follow through, whether it's going to come from her as the host or it's going to come from the cast. There needed to be more, and there wasn't enough. There was no excuse. This was an hour and a half tell all. You had enough time that you could have done that. There were certain things I wouldn't take away in order to do that. I liked kind of getting a follow through with the OG cast. I like to see that. I kind of liked having King Richard on for the mere fact that he kind of has some of the questions that I'm like, thank you. I wouldn't have gotten those questions answered if it wasn't for him coming on and asking them. Emma, I could have lived. I like to see her because the whole story is nuts. But we could have had an update with her the same way we had an update with the other OG cast members. You know what I mean? Real quick, done, over, you know? Because she's still with the guy. So like spoiler alert. So yeah, I think those are kind of my thoughts on them, on Katherine Ryan as a host. This I don't know who she is. I don't know if she is somebody. I have no clue who she is, but again, I didn't know who Sean Robinson was either, but I think this was her first time. We'll still give her a chance and see how things go with maybe another season. Whether it's this one or something else. So anyway, those are my thoughts on her. So Christian and Rebecca, they're first on the hot seat. Shane here kind of brings up the comment of how he kind of said, like, you know, the devil and the angel, and, you know, sometimes the devil needs to win, kind of implying that he would cheat on Rebecca. Christian says, listen, it was taken out of context. I mean, I don't think he went as far as to say I would cheat on her, but it kind of was implied. And he kind of said, like, he meant more about the partying. Okay. Okay, sure, fine. I don't buy it, but anyway. So Katherine says here that some viewers thought that maybe he was using her to get a UK visa. I mean, I don't know. It's hard for me to say whether or not that's the case, but I can understand where that comes from for sure. He says, I already had the visa. I didn't run away, but you don't have the visa. And this was a great question because Katherine says, but don't you have to, like, stay with her for at least 5 years without losing your status in the UK? Now that's a dinger. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Because that's a good point. You have to stay with the person for a certain amount of time before you can just dip. You know what I mean? You would be risking your status. He says it doesn't matter to him. Okay. Whatever you say. Um, Robert thinks he's genuine. I'm sorry. Advice from you when you're with the monster. I don't want to say monster, but the person you're with, you know? Anyway, Shane, she kind of says, like, listen, I'm not sure if I believe you. Like, she said straight up, I'm not sure if I believe you. And she says that she thinks they're two-faced. She thinks that Rebecca is naive. Damn. And then she brings up how that they didn't greet them when they walked back in. And Rebecca mentions that, you went the other way, so I didn't think you don't want to say hi to me, blah, blah. She says, I apologized. But she says, and I kind of agreed here, she says, I just don't understand how this is relevant to mine and Christian's relationship. It wasn't. There was a time and place, and Shane found the time and she found the place. Like, I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, so Shane says, like, listen, you had a bad experience with your first husband, who was a long distance international partner. She's like, I don't understand how you would fall into another international relationship. I wouldn't. And she kind of says, like, listen, I didn't fall into it. I was on a cruise with my grandparents. Like, I wasn't looking for it. It just happened. Fair. That's 100% fair. And we kind of start seeing how shit's a brewing behind the scenes. So we find out from Shane that she has been sent DMs, screenshots of asshole rallying up everyone around her to be against Shane and Mert. Why? She doesn't know. So anyway, hopefully there's not much of a break there. I had to take a tiny break, but I'm back. So anyway, Rebecca says that, she was judging based on what she saw on the show, same way that Shane is judging based on what she is seeing on the show. So she says, her opinion of Mert, it's difficult to like him. No one asked you to like him, though, honestly. So back to Rebecca and Christian, because we kind of got off a little bit on tangent here. When it comes to jealousy, we're going to talk about the chick from Norway. He just says, listen, I think it was miscommunication. I think he said he let his phone die. I'm not sure. I can't remember. But he says, I just didn't reply to Rebecca. And that's basically where it's all spiraled to. He says that there's nothing to confess about it. Cool. And then we kind of then go into Tion. And Katherine was kind of asking, like, how do you feel about the belly dancing? And how do you still feel about, David's salsa dancing? And I thought this was weirdly placed, but it was still a moment. So she says that she doesn't have an issue with his salsa dancing, but more has a problem with the fact that he would want to salsa dance at like 3:00 in the morning. It's about timing, she says. So then Katherine, she kind of says to her, like, I don't believe that. I saw it, on camera, like it's right there. And she says, like, is it reasonable to expect him to change for you? And she says about not expecting him to change. At some point in here, we rolled the tape and we saw all of the instances of where she said, fuck salsa dancing if he wants to be with me. right? So she's kind of like, ooh, like you could see on her face, like, oh fuck, I got okay, oh right. So I've said those things, but then she still kind of wants to backpedal a little bit. But anyway, Rebecca is still belly dancing and all's great in the world for her. Cool. Do you want to spice up your love life? Well, you can make that happen by going to Love Shop, where you can get sorts of different things, whether it's for both you and your partner or just for yourself. For solo play, you can get things, all types of vibrators, maybe more kinky type toys, or you can just buy what every person may need, like lingerie or protection, or even just something to make it a little more fun, like games or novelty things. You can do all of this by going to Love Shop, and you can use our unique coupon code REALITY2 to get 10% on anything your heart's desire. So that's loveshop.ca, loveshop.ca, and use our unique coupon code REALITY2. That's REALITEA and the number 2. So again, back to Rebecca and Christian. They have applied for the spousal visa. They are planning to see his family. And he will, at some point, apply for a job as a firefighter. That's what he wants to do. And Katherine says, okay, I will be waiting for the calendar and the photos for research purposes only. Anyway, that's it for Rebecca and Christian. There's no more to discuss about their relationship. Michael and Mercy, they're next. So he says, with the whole situation with the wedding in the UK, he says, listen, in my defense, she's used to Kenyan time and is used to going kind of whenever she wants, and there be no repercussions or anything like that. As we can kind of just see on the grand scheme of things, the women are not on his side. The men don't say anything. I still stand with what I said on that episode, that you could have been on time. So then we go into the Tinder swindler of it all. This whole situation of, well, that. And she says, maybe someone else is using my name. And I don't believe a freaking word she says. I don't believe her. I think she definitely was swindling. I do think she's genuine about her relationship with Michael, but I think she was definitely swindling other people. I don't believe that for a second. I just don't. Sorry. So then Catherine's like, okay, so we're going to introduce Thomas to the stage. Beat. We hear someone say, who the fuck is Thomas? And then we're like, psych. There is no Thomas. And asshole says, I've used different names on dating sites. I went by Adele when I met Robert. And I get that. I understand that. I don't disagree with that. Especially if you have like a somewhat of a unique name. I get it. But that's not what we're talking about here. It's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about the fact that this girl was using different names and swindling people that way. That's not the same thing. Anyway. And then Christian kind of goes back into a memory here, and he says, listen, I'm confused because you said you had talked to different people. And he says, I'm not fully buying it. Me and you both. He says, I would not have gotten on that plane. Mercy's like, why? Well, because there's a little something going on here. And then we kind of talk about the dowry. Okay, so sorry if it sounds like a little bit of a cutoff, had to take another break. My phone is like Central Station today. Anyway, so we were talking about the dowry, or about to start talking about the dowry. So we kind of start talking about that. And of course, we say, culturally in the Western world, that's something we don't see anymore. But she does say that the dowry really just depends on the family member that the dowry is for. So basically, like if her sister to get married, she could be worth less or more than what Mercy was worth. Ooh, I hate saying that. But anyway, that's what it is. Anyway, we finish it up with them. She says she's doing well. She's going out. She seems to be interacting with people, making friends, and she now has a job at KFC. So it's good. It's good to see that she's acclimating well now. But that's it. That's it for Michael and Mercy. So let's move on to Louise and Jose. So we see that Louise, Jose, and Jesse, they're here via video. He is now back in the UK. Baby is here. He was able to make it to the birth of their baby before she had him. We can kind of see already that Jesse's over it and it just started. I'm just saying. So we find out here because, Louise is chicken. What's baby? He's just chicken baby. And he does sing, I love you, chicken baby. Anyway, he says he likes being a dad. And that's great. Perfect. Jesse says that he has been recognized because obviously people really like him. Poor thing. Anyway, Michael does say and says that I feel like it was too quick for you to have been having a baby when you don't even know if he was going to be able to stay in the country and stuff like that. But she says, listen, she doesn't care. She's happy with her decisions. And Katherine Ryan does say, like, when you get to an older age in your late 30s, you tend to want to move a little quicker. That's fair. Because she says, like, for her, she was the same way. She was about the same age as Louise when she started having more children with her. I guess she's married her husband. Problem is, though, I'm assuming, Katherine, you probably knew your husband a little better than Louise knew Jose. So I'm just gonna put that assumption out there. Maybe I'm wrong. But Jesse does seem to be adapting well to Jose being there. Great. And then to send us off, we do get one last and final. I love you, chicken. And that is all. That's it. So, Robert and Asshole, they're next. They are still together. Who knew? Michael says that his issue that he has with Asshole is the situation between her and Arwen. Robert says, listen, she's a 16-year-old. I've had issues with her. And I think that Asshole kind of picks up on that, and that's what fuels her. She says that the things that Arwen has done or said or whatever, she's protective of Robert, and that's why she is the way she is. The only thing I'm going to say that I don't think I need to say much more of is that is not your place. It is not your place. That is between dad and daughter. You're not her mother. That is not your place. Please stay in your lane. That's all I'm going to say. And I wish someone else said that to her, but no one did. Anyway, she says that Arwen is the exact same thing. So we have two people trying to be protective of him, and it's just, they're clashing. We do talk about the fact that Asshole went through his phone without permission, and Katherine does say, like, is that something we should have done? Shane says that I would not be going through somebody's phone without permission. She says, yes. Do I have Mert's passwords? Does he have my passwords? Yes. But there is kind of like this blanket understanding that they can they'll text from each other's phones or whatever. And she says, if I want to look at something, I will say to him, can I look at something? And he'll say yes, because there's nothing to hide, but at least I'm asking. I'm not just going through it. And I 100% understand that. That's the dynamic I had with my ex. I think I've briefly said this before, that I had his password. He had my password. I didn't go through his phone. He didn't go through my phone. But if I ran out of data, I would use his phone. And I was with him. He had data because I can not go through my data. So that was that. But I never went through his phone. I never went through it. If I did, I feel like there was one instance where I did go through his WhatsApp messages. I told him I was going to do it. And he said, okay. That was dumb because I found things I didn't like. But yeah, that makes like that's okay to me. But again, I'm going to say this. I think I've been pretty open with the fact that my ex does have a daughter with somebody else. If she is of an age, let's say she's R1's age, and he's in a relationship with somebody else, that person should not take it upon themselves to go through messages between him and his daughter, or even messages between him and his child's mother, that is, as long as it's pertaining to the child, right? If there's something going on there, not my problem. But you know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm getting at. You don't go through messages that have nothing to do with you. I don't care if you see something that you don't like. That's not my problem, nor is that his problem. It's no one's problem. Oh well. Oh well. So that's kind of what we're getting at here. It's an invasion of privacy. It's an invasion of privacy for Arwen. It's an invasion of privacy for Robert. Don't be going through somebody's phone when you didn't get permission to go through that person's phone. So that's basically what Shane is saying. She has that kind of situation between her and Mert. And that works for them. So then Christian says, I think that asshole is sweet. And then this is what starts the spiral. Katherine says, well, that's easy for you to say because Rebecca is the clique. Then Rebecca says, I think we're outside of the clique. She's pointing to asshole and saying, I think we're outside of the clique. Tian says, what? What clique? And Shane, she says here that, yeah, you are the ones with the clique, so you're not outside of the clique. Now here comes the DMs. And to this day, I mean, I feel like I'm missing something. I feel like if you know something or have seen DMs, I want to see them. But we're talking about these DMs. And from what we can kind of see here, this is where we're getting to the more of details of these. Asshole text Mercy about her feelings towards Mert. Mercy clearly told her husband, which one does, about these messages. Michael went to Shane and said, there's something happening. Asshole is talking to people about you and Mert. Michael says that I shared this with her because I'm trying to look out for her and her relationship with Mert. Because she would have been blindsided, basically. Asshole says, I told Mercy what I thought about your relationship. I didn't think she would tell you. Well, ma'am, she didn't actually tell Shane anything. She told her fucking husband, who her husband then said, the fuck? And he went and dealt with that. That's what happened. Mert says, why create drama in bitch teams? Boom, I'm going to call them bitch teams from now on. That's perfect. Of course, Robert is defending asshole because that's what you're supposed to do. Shane then says that the asshole I saw on TV and the asshole I'm seeing in person is the same person. Then she says, I think you are just a bitch. Oh, shit. My girl. She's right though. Of course, Rebecca is like clutching her pearls kind of situation here, like, and she kind of says to Shane, you don't need to be calling her a bitch, calling her names, blah, blah, blah. I think someone says, I'm not sure who it is, but I think it was Robert, says, like, you could be respectful in how you are saying something. And Shane was like, because you've been respectful of us. She says, you tried alienating us. And then she says, fuck this, you're all bitches. Calls Rebecca a snaky bitch. And her and Mert leave. They don't leave forever. They do come back, but they left to basically go have a smoke because they're stressed. And they do talk about how they feel like they're being ganged up on, alienated again, like on and blah. Yeah. So yeah. But they do come back. And she says, I'm not going to let you cause me to leave. And Rebecca's like, I didn't tell you to leave. That's besides the point. She didn't say you told her to leave. She says, I'm not going to make you win. There's a difference. Anyway, back to asshole Robert for a brief moment. She loves Robert and they kiss. And Shane is literally all of us in this moment. She's like, ugh. And that's it. That's the end of Robert and asshole. Tian says that Rebecca, because they now have a break. So they have a break. Tian says to the camera that she thinks that Rebecca is out of line and is judging people, although she says she doesn't want to judge people. So she calls bullshit on that. Michael thinks that Shane had every right to leave under the circumstances. Robert thought that Shane was nice, but that how she kind of came in today ready to fight is kind of changing his mind. And I wrote, of course she's coming in to fight because she's been ganged up on. Why are you surprised? Your fucking girlfriend is causing people to... It's so bullshit. Anyway. So now we come back from the break and we find out that both Katie and Alejandro are not going to be here for the tell-all at all. I wonder why. But now we do get a little bit of a catch-up on the previous couples from last season. So Bridie and Horst are not together, y'all. Huh. I hope she didn't sell her house. Moving on. Victoria and Sean, I kind of went out of order here. Victoria and Sean, they are still together. She was in Japan, which I didn't know about. She was in Japan. She's just come back, but she's going to be going back to Japan soon. Callum and Marvin, they got married in South Africa. Yay. But they are still long distance. But yeah, they're living their best life. Patty and Sam. So for those who didn't watch the episode but have watched the season before, Patty and Sam are she's the one who is 40 years older than her boyfriend. I think he was from Pakistan, I believe. But unfortunately, question mark, they've parted ways. No shit. Moving on. Sean and Christine, who is our South African living in UK. She's a Filipino, one of our Filipinos from last season. They're still together as far as we know. And then we move on to Katie and Alejandro. We do see the video that Katie posted to her Instagram a couple months ago, basically saying that they are no longer together. And there was no comment from Alejandro. He has yet to respond to production. So yeah, we already know that. So I'm not going to hash that out. We all know that already. Michael says that he's not surprised that it didn't work out between Katie and Alejandro. He says even seeing the differences between first season to second season, he thinks that Alejandro has really changed in comparison to what he was last season. And I 100% actually agree with that. It's a shame. I'm not surprised based on what I saw in this season, but it's still sad because they are kind of the couple we rooted for last season. So it's sad, but yeah, That's all I'll say on that because we have talked about it. Now, King Richard, y'all. Fuck this guy. He's here. I never why. But you know what? I'm actually happy he was here. He asked some questions. And Emma is here. So as we kind of already knew, this was not news. Kathleen, who Richard was with, they're not together. She broke up with him. Yes. I think that was the right move. That she should have been the one to break up with him instead of the other way around. The fuck. So Emma and Hossein, they're still together. I'm shocked. Emma's favorite couple, she says, from this season is Shane and Mer. Yeah, heard that, Rebecca. Anyway, Richard asks if Mercy actually really does love Michael. Because based on what he saw in the season, he's not too sure. She says that she does love him. She does acknowledge that she is a stubborn person, and that's probably how it came across because of that. Michael says, I am too. He then questions Asshole about her relationship with Arwen because he probably has some choice words for her, but he doesn't actually get to say any of those things because Asshole says, to my fucking shock and surprise, that her relationship with Arwen is much better. She does give examples of how they've spent time with her in London. They've gone on other trips together, and they actually have one coming up. I want to hear from Arwen. Anyway, Richard thinks that the money in the bra situation with the belly dancing with Rebecca is a little much. And she said, didn't you do naked trivia? And he's like, yeah, I did naked trivia, but there's no sexual anything to do with that. He's like, I'm not being touched by anybody. I'm not touching anybody either. So you have literal people coming and touching your boob area to put money in it, in your bra. So yeah, I don't know. I don't care. As long as she's safe and she's happy with what she's doing, by all means. Now, Emma and Richard go bye-bye. So Tian and her mom are going to be on the couch next on the hot seat together. Obviously, David can't be there. Now I have some thoughts. So did Ava. So I will put my thoughts into the situation as well as for you to hear what she has to say. So she does think that her behavior with David was justified. Her mom, she's a proud mom. She says that she has her ring now, sorry. But she says he was stupid to put her in that position anyways. He says that he kind of tested her with the ring. He said that if she said no because of the ring, he would have known that this relationship was never going to work. Okay. All right. So now Christian has an opinion. He says that there's nothing wrong with wanting the best, and he thinks that David probably can provide the best for her. Now, what I did like here is that Tian says, I don't need him to provide. I can provide for myself. But I just wanted him to be able to give me the ring that I wanted. Even when it was outside of his means. Which helps me segue into the next thing I'm about to say. He basically had to spend all of his savings in order to buy the ring that she wanted. So now he's living with his grandma. Yep. Robert thinks that her reaction was completely wrong and off. And yeah, so here's what I'm going to say. What I'm going to say is that the situation with her mother, I've said this before and I'll say it again, and Ava said the same thing as well. This woman is an enabler. She did not serve her daughter well. She did not do well in mothering her child. Sorry. And it takes, like I said to Ava, it takes a lot for me to say that someone is not a great mother, but I don't think she was a great mother to her child. She is still currently enabling her. And she said at one point that she shouldn't accept less. She said that I used to accept less and it didn't work out for me. And so I didn't want my daughter to do the same thing. So you're parenting out of guilt. You're parenting out of guilt, which is an interesting situation because you're not parenting out of guilt because of something you lack in with your daughter or something that you did to your daughter, but you're parenting out of guilt for something that never really involved her, quote unquote, but involved you, then in turn maybe affected your parenting. I'm not sure, but that's basically what it comes down to. I don't understand because this is what you got, and you're a proud mom. Good for you. Anyway, that's it for Tion and David. Next and last, but certainly least in this case, we have Shane and Mert. Rebecca whispers that she's bored of them. I'm going to have some choice words for Rebecca in a second. She's bored of them. And I'm confused because I was bored of your storyline. There was nothing there. The only drama was the fact that he was texting some chick in Norway. And that's basically it. Like, what? Mert explains that he was upset because his parents couldn't be there at the hen do, but her mom could have been there no problem, and she was kind of like, in a sense, choosing not to be there. So Robert says that his opinion has changed. He felt sorry for Shane, but now I think that maybe they're a good match because she has anger issues. What? In what universe does Shane have anger issues? And really and truly, in what universe does even Mert have anger issues? I think there's a different situation here, and we do kind of throw out the control thing here. But that's probably the best way to describe what's going on. So, Rebecca, of all people, actually comes in and defends Mert. Whoa. And she says that I think his reactions are more cultural and not so much anger issues. Shane is like, well, that's a U-turn. Agreed. He apologized for the 2-drink rule. She can now drink whenever she wants. Michael says, I also think that he was probably just frustrated because he couldn't be there to celebrate her birthday with her. So I think that was probably a contentious situation there. 100% get that. I don't think anyone's denying that. So before we get into more between Shane and Mert, I'm going to put my thoughts in here about Rebecca. I think for Rebecca, with this whole situation with Mert, has to do with the fact that this woman is triggered by Mert and potentially triggered by all Turkish men because her ex-husband was Turkish. And she's seeing things from her ex in Mert. So I think that's part of the problem because she does throw around the trigger word quite a bit, and especially in the beginning of the tell-all about Mert. So I think that's the biggest thing here. I think she's very much projecting a lot of her issues with Turkish men onto Mert. I'm not saying Mert's perfect. I've made it very clear. That whole situation with the birthday drink thing was ridiculously stupid. It did slightly change my view on him after that. But not okay. That wasn't okay. But it's also not okay for Rebecca to be putting out her shit on another couple that has nothing to do with her. Anyway, back to Mert and Shane. Shane's relationship with his mother has never changed after finding out that she was trans. His dad took a little time to adjust to the idea of that, but Mert says he loves her more than he loves me. So they're doing good. And that is it. That's the end of Shane and Mert. That's the end of the tell-all. That's it. But we do have a couple of more things to say. asshole says that she doesn't understand what happened with all the drama and everything. I said, girl, you happened. So, Robert says, well, actually, Robert didn't say this. It was more asshole said this. That Robert has actually tried to propose to her multitude of times, and she has each time made him stop. So that's telling. So yeah, that's it. There's nothing else. I have nothing else to say about the tell-all. But what I will say is what I didn't talk about is some of my favorite looks from the tell-all. So I did like what Shane was wearing, the green dress. I did like that a lot. I think it did compliment her. So I did like that. I also liked what Mercy was wearing with the red dress that she was wearing. She looked phenomenal. But I do think, surprise, surprise, my favorite look of everybody on the tell-all was Tion. I thought she looked great. Her makeup seemed to be really good. Her hair was great. The dress she was wearing, she looked phenomenal. So who knew? But anyway, that is it. That is the end of the tell-all. That is the end of 90 Day UK for this season. This is so exciting. I got to finish an entire season of a show. Like, I'm excited for that. That's a big thing for me. So that's it. That's it. So as mentioned again, you'll be getting a lot of Love is Blind probably before a lot of other shows. But you will probably end up getting B90 on probably Friday. And the other way, you'll get those on the weekend. Unfortunately, this is how it is right now. We're being bombarded by so much shows right now, but that's probably what's going to happen. So if it's any later than what I'm thinking right now, I will of course let everybody know, but that's probably what's going to happen. So just be patient with me, of course. And, but yeah, that's it for 90 Day UK. It's a wrap on 90 Day Season 2. So if you like what you heard, please share Reality Tea ×2 with everyone in your life. That's going to help with our growth. And we really want to grow this podcast. Another way you can grow it is by also rating and reviewing us on either Apple Podcasts or Spotify. The links to those podcasts, links to the Spotify and Apple Podcasts, will be in the show notes. Also, you can find us on any of your favorite podcast apps, but if there's an app that you don't see us on, that you want to see us on, please let me know and I can get that up on that podcast app. If you are an avid YouTube user, you can listen to this podcast on YouTube by going to Reality Tea ×2. If you want to connect with us, you can do so by connecting with us on either Facebook at Reality Tea ×2 or Instagram and Threads at Reality Tea ×2 podcast. You can also email us. We would love to hear from you. Also, if you want to guest on the podcast at some point, whether we talk about your favorite show or just get to know each other, you can email us at realitytea ×2@hotmail.com and you can make that request and we can talk and we can figure that out. So you can email us at that email. We have a new website where you can get links to everything. You can get links to our Facebook page, Instagram page, Threads, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, everything your heart's desire, as well as we do now have a Discord. So you can follow us and talk to us on the Discord app. You can get all of that information at the website, and the website is www.solo.to/realitytea ×2. I also have a new podcast with my friend Mikkel called Next Take Podcast, and you can either listen to us at YouTube at the link that's going to be in the show notes. I believe that is Next Take Podcast. And you can also go to our website. There you can have all the links to all of our social medias, email, everything. Our episodes as well will be at the website, which is www.solo.to/next take podcast. All of the information, everything that I have just said will be in our show notes. Well, that's it for now, guys. Thanks. Bye. Have you ever thought of starting your very own podcast? Doing the research, I found something that would have made editing easy and seamless and makes the podcasting experience just that much easier. And I am talking about Ludo. This is a podcast software that I use for our editing of our episodes. It is amazing. It is easy. You're also able to get help from doing chats and getting the information that maybe you just need a little more help with. They also have access to different articles that can also help you that have been just godsends for me. Also with the Ludo, you can create clips. You can do your ads, just like this very one I'm doing right now. And you can create your trailer very seamlessly just by the clicks of buttons. You can also use a Ludo to publish your episodes just straight from the software. It's so easy. I highly recommend it. You can get access to a Ludo by using our unique link, which you can find on our show notes, just down there at the bottom at the show notes. And you can get access to an easy software